Who can it be now knocking at my door? It's Stefano and he wants his fucking shares.
It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Have you seen Adam Aron lately?
No, he's run from the lot. He stopped by here and just about got him here a little bit ago.
Really?
Yep.
He's running, huh?
Yep.
He's running from the law?
Yep.
Damn it, I just missed him?
You did, about 20 minutes ago.
Let me know the next time you see him.
Okay, I will. Hold him. I bring the rope.
Okay.
Tie him down.
Please tie him down.
Okay, I will do that for you.
Thank you.
The politically, socially, and financially connected CEO of AMC Theaters, Adam Aron, utilizes some elements of propaganda to sway the sentiment of support in his favor after a democratized group of retail investors from all over the world called the Apes saved the company during the COVID-19 pandemic. Aron wants their support, but also wants to continue to add more shares to AMC's small share count at the time. The Apes believed that AMC's stock value was continuously attacked by hedge funds shorting the stock, which may have included CEO and alleged perjurer Ken Griffin of Citadel Securities through what are called dark pools and the utilization of payment for order flow.
What are dark pools? Dark pools have been around since 1979 and are privately organized exchanges designed for trading large securities. Dark pools are unique because they allow certain investors to trade without any public exposure until after the trade has been executed and reported.
Payment for order flow, as you mentioned, is a payment between a broker that a broker receives for your order flow, and there are inherent conflicts of interest there. When you place a market order in the US, a market order at a retail platform, well over 90% of those trades go straight to the dark market.
We've got a lot of concentration around market makers, particularly for the retail marketable orders. And those retail marketable orders, as I earlier said, have a real sweetness to them.
Yeah, we used to call it the juicy flow.
Well, there you go, Dave. There you go.
To get to the truth of AMC's constant price manipulation, the Apes continued to deny Adam Aron's will, and Citigroup, who was confirmed as a hedge fund shorting the stock, stepped in using the head of media investment banking, Derek Van Zandt, to formulate a scheme for Aron to dilute AMC's value without needing the approval of his devoted retail shareholders any longer. Van Zandt and AMC's board of directors approved of a plan called Project Popcorn. After the initial presentation, AMC insiders began to sell their shares through the span of several months, while Project Popcorn was prepared in the background for repackaging to their retail investors as a beneficial dividend called APE, AMC Preferred Equity Unit. By way of an aggressive campaign, Adam Aron was given cult-like status, with a cult-like following among loyal investors, but alarming those who continued to question his leadership. A small group of core influencers promoted several securities manipulation tactics to investors of AMC, proclaiming authority no one asked for, shaming those who did not follow along, and when Project Popcorn was released in late August of 2022, began to promote Ape's benefits to trusting, credulous retail investors unaware of Project Popcorn's intent.
We're supposed to pounce, we're supposed to play chess, or whatever Adam Aron's gonna do, just do something. All right, Katie, what do you think? You think he's gonna do anything?
Ape's value plummeted on its release due to the same short selling the Apes warned Aron about that occurred in AMC. While Ape's price continued to lose value, the same influencers pushed buying and holding Ape. embellishing different catalysts or reasons that would cause Ape's value to return alongside with AMC's, all the while protecting Adam Aron's image. However, they were not alone. Several unknown accounts on Twitter and Reddit became the vanguard of social media protection against any dissenting voices, immediately ostracizing anyone who questioned them and Project Popcorn. They provided a craven digital army through their anonymity, strengthening Adam Aron and his nucleus of prominent influencers. A month after Ape's mixture into the New York Stock Exchange, the president of FTX and former employee of Citadel Securities, Brent Harrison, gave an interview to Superstock's Platinum Sparkles, explaining that shares on the international exchange through a German broker traded as tokenized shares, 1 token per 1 share.
Offered on FTX.com. It's only for international users, not US users. And there is a tokenized stock offering there, which is backed by a regulated German broker-dealer. And those are fully collateralized tokens. So, for every, 1 token of, GME share, there's of GME token, there's, a GME share in that German broker-dealer, and people can trade those back and forth. Trading that token back and forth does not change the location of that stock. It's always with the broker-dealer.
Can those stocks be lent out to third parties for shorting?
No, it's a fully collateralized product.
Retail shareholders in AMC and Ape's woes were far from over. Adam Aron had the second half of Project Popcorn in the works, while the special tax-free gift of a dividend, Ape, continued to lose value as he and Citigroup agreed to set the price of Ape at $2 and make it available to sell 425 million of them on September 26, 2022, while the influencers supporting him were promoting investors to buy the failing asset. Beginning in October, Brian Reis, also known as AMC Biggums, spent an hour with formerly educated financial advisor Peter Hann, selling the impending fictitious mother of all short squeezes, the MOASS.
A short squeeze happens when many investors bet against a stock and its price shoots up instead.
This after their years-long narrative of pumping up AMC stock.
Because in March, bald guy from New York was pumping about a Fed emergency meeting. Okay, so this is important, and so that ties into the something breaking, and basically we've seen multiple reports of a major investment bank is on the brink.
This was one of the things I wanted to point out with Phase 6, and they're going to start expiring here in the next, most of them are about 5-6 months. And I mean, everybody and everything I feel like is on the brink of a collapse at this point for this to happen for a MOASS, for a squeeze. So you only have a couple options now. You pretty much need to allow the MOASS just to redistribute to your economy. This MOASS has to happen. Meme stocks are a good place to park your, our money.
A woman named Pam the Trader posted on the 3rd, tagging some of the AMC influencers in the post, promoting the buy and hold method of both Ape and AMC. Pam's connection to the influencers goes as far back as moderating for many of them in 2021 at the height of their popularity and when the meme stock hysteria was in full swing.
It's the Scratch with Pam. That's actually her. She used to be the moderator here for Tony Denaro back in the day. And I remember she was always there with all the top influencers, right? I think she moderated for all of them.
Pam, I'm not here for lunch money. I'm not selling till we get to the moon with Pantheon. That's right, Pam. I'm with you all the way. And of course, she mods in pretty much everybody's channels, and you guys can find her all over the place.
Today I want to explain how Ape became the most manipulated stock in history, and how this tells me that we're right and that AMC will squeeze. Today I want to talk about how a massive short squeeze is coming, about how there's factual proof to support this, and I want to talk about what will trigger the squeeze. So stay tuned.
Close to 2 years into the meme stock phenomenon and AMC's all-time high in June of 2021, the personalities gaining notoriety on social media likewise pressed an incoming massive short squeeze to this day.
Today, I want to talk about the massive short squeeze that just happened on Friday, which we can actually watch back in real time and use as AMC short squeeze preparation.
creating full-time engagement and possible revenue from different platforms and different places. Some of their supporters on Twitter added their voices to keep the ape community hoping for the eventual windfall. Marcel Kalinovic's video on the 6th set up a simulation of a market crash and what an investor could expect to gain from it, raising their hopes of a big return on investment. Psychologically, no matter what disclaimer he uses, the tactic keeps viewers anticipating its eventual fruition.
Say it's really nasty and it goes to 100. That's $3,039,200.
The bald guy from New York Mr. Hann referred to is the late Louis Bravo, a much beloved major influencer, voicing his concern about Adam Aron's leadership, as did many others. Al from Boston, Bubby Gunther, also known as the Common Sense Investor, Mike Minar, also known as Mike the Marine, Donahue George, J.G. Zavaldi, known as BAM Investor, and activist Ethan Leibowitz. Adam Aron's next move to checkmate retail is an email on October 12th. His words urged the AMC pricing committee to lower the share price of Ape further to $1 after Citigroup, with all its market power, was able to bring it down to $2 per share. The email was sent to 4 cooperating AMC executives, some who sold their shares before the full damaging effects of Project Popcorn commenced. Kevin Connor, Ernst & Young's Kathleen Paulus, Silver Lake's Lee Whitlinger, and Sean Goodman. His second email 7 minutes later gave the reasons. His favorite reason for AMC's perpetual difficulties, COVID-19, and production delays. Debt was so important to Aron that the price was manipulated into a forced bearish trend.
Heartbreak will feel good in a place like this.
Though the former Apollo senior executive appeared to pander with a boilerplate monologue to his retail shareholders in the past with live appearances at AMC theaters, Adam Aron's reasons for continuing visits will be revealed later in the year. For now, his public relations tour unofficially began on December 5th, 2021 in California, 1 month after Project Popcorn was presented to the AMC Board of Directors in order to gain the trust of retail investors heading into its presentation as Ape, continuing into the next year to become the spokesperson for colleagues in hedge funds like Citigroup, to promote Project Popcorn's final blow against the same shareholders he attempted to convince are important to him. His retail investors remained oblivious to his true motivation.
You saved our company. Somebody said there's a little virus in Wuhan, China. We went from a company that was like biggest in our industry and just doing fine and very predictable, cash coming in the door, good times, bad times. When I heard that individual investors had descended on AMC and that you had all of a sudden come from like nowhere to owning 80% of our company. I thought, well, company managements always talk to their shareholders. Twitter, because I actually, not only I wrote my tweets myself back then, I read the stuff that came in and I learned a lot. I learned what was on their mind. I read my Twitter feed inbound. And I learned so much about what you think. So many of you were there for a bigger purpose. And the bigger purpose is you didn't want professionals on Wall Street putting us out of business. COVID. But we had more than $1 billion of cash or undrawn revolving credit line on June 30, the end of the last quarter. And so we were in a very strong position. Strong enough that I could take $28 million of your money and buy into a gold mine.
So it really looks like somebody out there knew this deal was going to get announced and traded on that insider information. We don't know who, but it's a good bet the SEC is going to be looking into this.
He did what? We're going to make so much money from that investment in the gold mine. What I want to tell you tonight is from the heart. And I say it from the heart.
I want to talk to you from my heart for a little bit, for a few minutes.
The rest of you, I'm just guessing, I don't know for sure.
Take your apes, and everybody's like, yeah, baby, we're apes. Wow! Wow!
So I'm curious, are there any apes in the room? I'm just guessing.
that you're apes. I'm just guessing that the rest of you are apes. But the rest of you, like you're apes, right?
Now we know that Adam Aron has proposed a new share issue of over 400 million ape shares. We do have some kind of idea how this will impact the ape stock, as these shorts will be forced to buy up these new shares in the open market to convert their synthetic short positions into legit short.
Frequent ally and friend to AMC's major influencers protecting Aron's pristine media image, an unknown individual by the name of Pantheon deleted his vast catalog of MOASS promoting videos. This deleted marketing video gives a brief glimpse into the amount of effort taken to suck in retail investors. Pantheon remained behind his anonymity, but when questioned about his motives, became unrestrained. Like the others, he pointed the finger back at anyone questioning Adam Aron.
Kind of showing some pride with the Icahn AMC NFT and the Icahn Ape NFT. And as always, remember, when's the MOASS? Well, the MOASS is tomorrow. Now, did it happen? Well, if the answer is yes, collect your tendies. And if the answer is no, the MOASS is tomorrow. It's free. It's a cool thing that's in the background. And you know what? One day you'll have it just to look back on and remember these days. And I want to remember these days. At all times, surround yourself with those on the same mission as you.
Now removed, some of Pantheon's videos included the critical thinking crushing mantra of buy and hold is the answer. Everything else is just fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Hold for as long as it takes, and his followers were close to life-changing wealth, ironically ending it with a familiar caveat.
How many times have you heard the words, this is not financial advice, but...
A good pumper and dumper always includes that.
Andrew, how could anyone get mad at Pantheon? Well, man, they try. They tried. And I'll tell you, it's going to sound bad, but I'm just going to say it. Because they don't understand what they're talking about like I do, and they don't do the homework that I do. You never see Boss get mad at me or Casey Shaw get mad at me or Tony Denaro because I do my homework like they do.
Ex-user and AMC investor Paul Drew posited that the NFTs gifted by Aron were swaps for false locates used by hedge funds shorting AMC, removing the burden of shorting the stock and supplying a false location for the stocks they needed to return.
We bring in now Mark Cohodes. He is a former short seller who's come up with a unique proposal for AMC investors, along with Charlie Gasparino. Mark, welcome. Charlie, welcome.
I've been involved and been an investor in Overstock for more than 4 years. And it was controversial when I bought Overstock, but it's up 10 times. And Overstock owns something called Tzero, which is an alternative trading system. And you can trade something called security tokens on that platform. So my proposal was to come with an NFT, a souped up NFT, which would be a security token. NFTs are popular these days, and an NFT with utility, whether it's free popcorn or movie passes or a special golden ticket, would be dividended out to AMC holders. And I think, one, you would provide value to them. Two, it would be something else and a revolutionary thing for Tzero to trade. And I think you would finally clean up the mess and the stock loan mess, which is known as Wall Street.
Right.
And
if there is naked short selling, I just want to unpack this a little bit for the viewers. Naked short selling, because people would want to get their hands on that NFT, right? The shorts would have to cover, and you would know if they're covering or if they're not covering. And so, to me, that's a fascinating plan. What does Adam Aron say about it, the CEO? Have you had any contact with him about this?
So, a couple weekends ago, on my way to Spain, I sent Adam Aron some emails. Someone, Pachter at Wedbush, who's a pal of mine, introduced me to Adam Aron. He said, here's his email, here's his phone number. I only sent him, I think, 5 emails back and forth.
Right.
And he said he'd think about it. And then when the fire drill, which was last week, came, Adam Aron sent me an email and said that he wants me to stand down. He doesn't want me contacting him, and that's that.
Though Aron did not speak to Cohodes directly after that, he did tweet to his followers that it was a good idea, but likely illegal. Of course, this did not stop AMC's CEO from doing anything else that was actually illegal. Cohodes responded by telling Aron his dismissal of the idea was an excuse, consistent with Aron's character of preventing an authentic share count and protecting short sellers. Frustrated shareholders added that they felt betrayed by Aron, having opportunities to apply pressure to short sellers through Overstock's Tzero blockchain. Aron instead released his own set of NFTs almost a year later to the shareholders that, instead of providing them security in their investment, gave them a piece of memorabilia, marking Project Popcorn's orchestrated theft of the same investment, making Paul Drew's post on X exceptionally intriguing. At the beginning of November, Pantheon's close friend, Marcel Kalinovic, promoted the value of Project Popcorn by tweeting about Karl Icahn's photo with GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen. Icahn is credited in coining the term MOASS, which the influencers have repeated for several years. Icahn ran a hedge fund which eventually led to his hiding billions in loans. Kalinovic's personal goals mirror that of emulating private equity, like hedge funds, and financial frauds like Icahn. His praise of Icahn to his audience may be one of admiration. Citigroup shifted some of its energy to denigrating the price of AMC with their analyst Jason Bazanet's $3.13 sell price target, which lowered to $1.20.
People, that is your MOASS explained.
Philip Pitts, who also goes by the name of Phil for Real, posted how he would avoid directly registering his shares because of a waiting period to sell when he wants to, influencing people who follow him regardless of how he worded the message. On the same day, he placed AMC Biggums on a high pedestal to his followers, proclaiming Brian Reis the embodiment of the MOASS. Marcel Kalinovic posted another MOASS imminent tweet on the 8th of November. Later in 2023, an AMC investor named Anthony Franchi will file a lawsuit against AMC. In November of 2022, it is recorded that he purchased the shares after the issuance of Ape in August, and only 32 of them. On the 9th, Kalinovic repeated the MOASS imminent narrative, keeping his followers hoping for a stock market crash to kick it off. In the same day, he claimed the real estate crash was happening. Historically, it was uneventful like his other predictions. An unknown user by the name of Darth Vader exposed the true background of Anthony Franzetti, using a deleted LinkedIn profile as a personal computer specialist engineer, bridal advisor, and actor. Vader added Franzetti's recent name change after his rise in popularity as Tony Denaro. The extensive reveal unsurprisingly showed no financial experience in his past. Franzetti's response was typical and laden with the inability to answer Vader's handiwork, reverting to illogical arguments. Denaro had to shift the blame and divert it away from his contrived persona.
He is a AMC troll, someone who no longer believes in the AMC play, although he was a stockholder at one time, which is why we call him Vader. He went from the good side to the dark side. Why give a troll, someone who spends his day hating on AMC investors and AMC YouTubers, any publicity? So we're not sending anybody to his channel. That is why we use a different name for him. You can hear with your own ears exactly how he talks about you as investors and your favorite YouTubers.
Jeremy Phillips, also known as Froggy Styles, posted a warning to retail investors about Anthony Franzetti and that he tried to warn others previously. Phillips and Franzetti go back to a group called the Wolfpack, based in Canada and run by a man named Cameron Simpson, or CS Trades. Pantheon, Marcel Kalinovic, and consistent collaborator KC Shaw also participated in the group. In September of 2022, Shaw attempted to place a negative light on Phillips for turning on him. Shaw then made bold accusations with nothing substantive to back it up. As we will see later, some of the accusations apply strongly to he and his colleagues pushing through Adam Aron's Project Popcorn rather than to Phillips. Brian Reis posted about the MOASS again on the 10th. Aron's appearance on the Claman countdown from November 10th discloses Liz Claman's sense that there was some erratic activity in AMC's board of directors' frequency in selling their positions before Project Popcorn and the planned decimation of both stocks. Aron dismissed the obvious insider trading starting in November of 2021 after they were fully aware of Project Popcorn and quickly diverted attention away from the issue. Aron uses AMC's infinite risk of going into bankruptcy as his go-to verbal mitigation.
Back in June of 2021, AMC was, a $60 stock. The retail investors were all in. By November and December, company insiders, including yourself, and we've talked about this, were selling shares anywhere from $27 to $40. You did telegraph that would happen on earnings calls, but some triangulate that insiders didn't believe the company was worth such a high valuation. That's why they were selling. Can you just clarify that?
No, Liz, I can't, because that's 2021 news. That's ancient history. What we're doing is we're focusing on bringing this company back.
Hi, my name is Sam, and this is my story.
Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX, stepped down, and FTX slid into bankruptcy on the 11th. CNBC's Andrew Sorkin interviewed Adam Aron, pointing out his tendency to frivolous spending. This is corroborated by Aron's constant cries of the pandemic woes and his need for constant acquisitions during a time that urges fiscal restraint.
I want to read you something that Wedbush securities analyst Alicia Reis wrote. You may think it's cynical, but I'm curious what your reaction is. She said, I think their announcement...
I already know what she said, and I know what my reaction is going to be. Go ahead.
She said, I think their announcement that they began selling some of their announced 425 million Ape shares at such a low per-share price speak to their cash needs or perhaps more frivolous spending. What did you think when you read that?
Oh, it's kind of ridiculous. When we launched the Ape security in August of 22, a couple of months ago, we said right back then that we were going to raise capital with it, but we were going to do so with a slow and steady pace, judiciously. The market sets the price. We don't set the price. We'll raise capital at whatever the price is, but we're not going to flood the market by selling a ridiculous quantity of shares.
Note that when Aron and the board decide to sell shares, their personal shares are sold at a higher price. When it comes to AMC, they usually sell them at a lower price. When Aron speaks of not flooding the market, he could have reduced the debt significantly by negotiating to sell at higher prices other than 67 cents. The result is always a bad deal for AMC and its retail investors. When it comes to flooding the market, it is demonstrative that Citi and Antara both were shorting the stock. Had he taken the position seriously of the company's internal integrity and a supply and demand fair market, the price would have been much higher. Thus, he wouldn't have to flood the market, but do it judiciously as he mentioned. If he intended to aid AMC, empirically the evidence suggests otherwise, especially when considering he was making deals with the people destroying its value in an illegal transparent conflict of interest. These bad deals are similar to the one in Saudi Arabia. Back in 2019, AMC invested $1 billion into Saudi Arabia, intending to stay there for many years to come, up to 10. Like Project Popcorn, Aron restates his original position with a positive spin. By early 2023, Aron sold a 10% stake in their investment, meaning that $1 billion equated into a 10% investment. The sale resulted in $30 million returned for a loss of $970 million. To Aron, the sale was enough to declare, "Cash is king." Brian Reis claimed that retail's MOASS money was in the derivatives market. Marcel Kalinovic sent a tweet the same day stating that the MOASS was imminent again, and that in 90 days from when Ape was first introduced on November 22, 2022, another dividend would arrive. The bold market manipulation prediction never came true, but it did keep retail investors holding on in anticipation for something. On November the 20th, Peter Hann explained his procedures for blocking people who questioned the MOASS, of course preventing people from speaking their minds and aiding others in uncovering their false assertions. Appearing in front of the NASDAQ a day before the Macy's Day Parade in collaboration with Katherine Larsen's billboard entourage, paid for by retail investors already losing money with their AMC investment, Marcel Kalinovic catches himself revealing why he was there and switches it up to put his fight for retail ahead of what he almost revealed.
Thanks to Cat Striker, the one and only, on YouTube, I'm going to be joining the parade route with some mobile billboard trucks. How's everybody today? I'm hanging out here in Times Square right now, waiting for the Macy's Day Parade to start up tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm right here in front of the fucking NASDAQ. Just had some dinner with some venture capitalist buddies. Looking to, I can't really say, but I think you guys know what I'm here for. Also going to be doing some advocating for retail investors' rights tomorrow.
In the meantime, Antara Capital held a short position on Ape from November 25th to November 30th, while also selling shares to keep the price low, to complete future deals, including predetermined votes, and to bring Ape back into AMC's common stock. Katherine Larsen presented to her followers that shills, a common term used by anyone who disagreed with them, are attacking Adam Aron and AMC as a company. She then makes more claims that the price is psychological and that hedge funds want people to sell their Ape shares, the same shares that have lost almost all of their value to this point. If the shares were sold at an earlier time and they avoided her non-financial financial advice, it may have saved them thousands of dollars depending on their investment. Matt Kors, one of the few AMC influencers who warned people about Ape's possible loss in value, was responded to by Marcel Kalinovic, calling Ape an incredible deal, as he sought to debate Kors. Some in retail have said similar about Ape's value. Rather than block Kors as he would a retail investor, it is apparent that Kalinovic wanted to gain something from the exchange. Both sides claimed victory. Ultimately, Matt Kors was correct. Marcel Kalinovic sent a message that implied anyone naked shorting stocks would eventually face RICO charges. DF King's Crystal Scrutato emailed Eddie Gladbach, John Merriweather, Sean Goodman, and Kevin Connor. She copied DF King's Michael Matalone. The email details how the combined voting power of Ape and AMC will ensure that an upcoming vote will lead to a favorable outcome for AMC's board of directors after retail has continuously prevented some of their past requests. Next, Derek Van Zandt introduced Antara Capital and Himanshu to AMC's Adam Aron, outlining the purchase of apes at a decided 20% discount, again showing that the market truly does not control the price. Worse yet, Project Popcorn's final vote has to begin, with Antara agreeing to vote in favor of the board as a contingency to the sale. The blatant price manipulation is why AMC chose one underwriter in Citigroup.
The market sets the price. We don't set the price.
It's losing, but it's all we could do because that's the market. We don't set the market price, the market sets the market price.
But the market has priced the ape at 1/7 of the common share.
Van Zandt's December 8th email was meant to inform Aron that Antara was willing to hold onto the Ape units and vote in favor of Ape's conversion back to AMC, essentially guaranteeing what Aron and the board wanted. Between December 7th and December 16th, Antara sold over 6 million Ape units to put downward pressure on Ape's price, ensuring Antara could get them later at a further discount.
Now from Boston, let's kick it off. We told you and told you and told you again. Here's more proof. November 2021, the company's banker, Citigroup, began to work on Project Popcorn. That's the name of it, Project Popcorn. Probably stole that from Lou's videos. A prospective issuance of alternate form of equity that can convert into common stock. So, defendants devised the apes to obviate retail investors. Citigroup considered plans for a potential rights offering that would allow investors to buy a common stock equivalent that could eventually convert into common stock. By February, Citigroup proposed that AMC could call the rights AMC Preferred Equity Apes. There you go. There's your origins. There's your origins of Ape. It didn't come from Adam Aron. It came from Citi, one of the shorts. How do I know this? Citi and Morgan are the heaviest, and of course, Bank of America are the heaviest of all of our lenders that owe the shorts.
Unusual Whales, a stock market options flow platform, cites an article by the Chainsaw that AMC and GME shares utilized by FTX as tokens were being investigated for allowing the tokens to be redeemed as stocks by short sellers, curtailing large borrowing fees. On the 11th, another MOASS imminent post appeared from Marcel Kalinovic, despite AMC and Ape's falling prices, bringing more investors into the fold. The 16th of December revealed that Antara held nearly 9 million Ape units, with the foreknowledge of an impending rigged vote and Ape's price continuing to fall to a low of 67 cents. They continued to accumulate massive amounts of shares. Their next purchase was on December 22nd, 2022. The special screening of Avatar Way of the Water in Florida marked a pivotal point for Project Popcorn. This was his last appearance leading up to an important message he needed to deliver to shareholders on Twitter to continue the facade of the benevolent, likable guardian of their financial future.
I just want to talk to you a little bit about what you mean to me. In this room, with a couple of hundred apes representing millions of apes, thank you.
If any of Adam Aron's tweets hold substantial significance to Project Popcorn thus far, 2 were released in December of 2022, encompassing true deception hidden behind almost every word and finalizing with his trademark buried meanings behind them. The future uncovered what they meant, but unfortunately for retail at the time, they were blinded by Aron's false presentation of himself as the head of their movement and their honored silverback. The joke was on retail.
We'll be smiling. You know the old saying, he who laughs last laughs best. And we'll all be smiling. And there are a lot of people, you've heard me say it, the prophets of doom, the naysayers. I've said it to them, I'll say it to you. They can just choke on that.
He attempted to paint Wall Street as a distant competitor playing games when they were deep inside AMC's board of directors, playing the same games. He praised the sale to Antara Capital and the circumvention of an upcoming vote to finalize Project Popcorn, and then he framed his message in a way that could convince retail that the apes would be the ones laughing in the end, when it was truly Aron and his friends who delighted in their plans to extract the shareholders' wealth by sequential illegal methods. The game of chess Aron was playing with retail was coming to a close. On the 18th, Philip Pitts believes there are an abundance of bots attempting to get him to sell shares that he says that he has, but no one is sure if he truly does. He then asks them to pull up, which is a threat. The account he used for this post was deactivated for the same reason. Anthony Franzetti posted to Twitter on the 19th of December, quoting Aron's disappointment in the planned drop of Ape's value. The next day, Aron praised his questionable Hycroft investment.
Today I want to talk about how emergency margin calls are happening not just in Japan but around the entire world right now, and how this is a major deal for the overall economy, for the market crash, and for the AMC squeeze.
Pitts said on the 21st that if some don't believe in AMC, then they should sell their shares, forgetting his previous tweet on the 18th and writing it as if to speak for his audience and the rest of retail. Trading firm Alameda Research's Caroline Ellison pleads guilty to fraud charges, making a deal with prosecutors.
But what we're talking about is that FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange, used user funds and used it for other things, right? They paid advertisements with that, they invested that, they donated that, right? And one of the critical components in this scheme is Alameda Research. They had an investment company that would basically be independent, but they would get the user funds. They would have an unlimited ability to borrow user funds from FTX, take all the money out, and then they could, in a way that can only be described as money laundering, just take that money and then use it for whatever they want, right?
On the 21st, a special meeting was conducted with more of the AMC board of directors to make them aware of the Antara transaction, with the explanation of Ape's fall to a $1 predetermined price. The following day, AMC announced the sale of 256,621,297 Ape units to Antara Capital. Aron's second monumental tweet broke more promises he made to the shareholders of AMC, and, by way of Project Popcorn, more state and federal securities laws.
Guess what? I can tell you that I've never given any serious thought to splitting our stock or a reverse split of our stock. That's point number one. Point number two, we have absolutely no plans to split our stock or do a reverse split of our stock.
Reverse stock split and then issuing new shares? Is that on the table?
That's not on the table. And my understanding of the law is that if we did a reverse stock split,
that would also contract the number of shares we're allowed to issue.
To his minimal credit, he did mention Ape returning to AMC in the future, but never in the form of a value-destroying reverse stock split. The announcement of a 1-for-10 reverse stock split was kept in his arsenal for this moment, after telling retail investors he had no plans for one on several occasions. The deceit then became par for the course as the person in charge of the theater chain. After Aron's reverse stock split announcement, AMC's price nosedived.
The company announced it will raise $110 million of new equity capital by selling its Ape units to Antara Capital at a weighted average price of 66 cents per share. And the move's an effort for AMC to remove its long-term debt off its books and potentially improve profitability. Couple of things to mention here. Where the stock is trading now is its lowest going back to January 25th, 2021. That's just before it had its first big meme surge. So that's observation number one. Observation number two, man, for a company that portrays itself as really being oriented toward retail investors, what a gibberish jargon of an announcement.
Still using Twitter to communicate to retail investors around the world, Aron made a rare admission that Project Popcorn did what it intended: raise cash, buy back debt, and mergers and acquisitions during a self-generated, elongated, preferentially utilized crisis. Ape's amalgamation into AMC required a shareholder vote. AMC's corporate management needed to go through the motions of the vote to appear authentic, honest, and lawful, though it was already decided.
According to a story in IndieWire, it looks like AMC Theaters is looking to try to take advantage of the situation and actually buy Cineworld, which would include Regal Cinemas. They wrote the following: AMC Entertainment, the largest movie exhibitor chain in the US and actually the world, nearly purchased Cineworld theaters out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The news was revealed on the December 21st in an 8K filing with the SEC that surprised even some inner circle AMC employees.
At a Sugar Land, Texas meet and greet, Blythe Carruthers Weston, known as Whimsy Chick on Twitter, asked Aron about how the reverse stock split will operate and why it is necessary. Aron tells her that the market has priced Ape, when in reality, Aron, the board of directors, and financial institutions were working together to reduce its value. As per his usual tactics, it gives Aron the excuse to return it to AMC.
Shares are the same thing. Okay. And there's no explaining them. But the market has priced the Ape at 1/7 of the common share. And they're the same thing. So we're giving them away at 1/7 of where we should. So it makes it so we got to put them back together.
Right.
And if you own the Ape, it's going to go up in value. And as the company raises more capital in the future, we'll raise it at 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times the price we're getting now for it. And this makes no sense.
We know that, what I call bankruptcy Inc. isn't going to get their clutches on us and drive us into the ground. They'd like to. They'd like to short us to zero, but we're not going to let them.
December 22nd brought the concerted push to the Ape community that they should vote yes, though some influencers do not believe they were influencing anyone. Despite the definition of influence, they were. Katherine Larsen also added another phrase that would convince some in retail that they had their best interest in mind: short-surfed. At the bottom of the tweet, she included a conversation with an unknown broker in an effort to convince her followers that short sellers in Ape would have to close their positions when Ape returned, attempting to get more to hold on to the asset. Marcel Kalinovic followed the next day with a similar message using another phrase to convince retail, again without evidence to support it.
One and only Adam Aron, CEO of AMC Theaters, has come out and started talking AMC and Ape reverse split of AMC, of course, and an Ape conversion to AMC, which both, in my opinion, are extremely bullish. But I personally feel that it's one of the greatest things that Adam Aron has ever done. It is an absolute fucking checkmate, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people you're going to be hearing saying like, oh, you're going to hear a lot of negativity and a lot of people that are uneducated in the market, and even more people out there that are, paid to spread fear, uncertainty, and despair. A lot of bots and shield accounts and brand new accounts to Twitter that just joined or that may have joined a long time ago, saying things that are very negative. Naturally, that is the MO of a lot of these short hedge funds. I, for one,
and everyone that I know that knows their ass from a hole in the ground is voting yes, but feel free to do whatever the hell you want. To reverse split the number of AMC common shares at a 1-to-10 ratio. I'm also voting yes for that. It's absolutely phenomenal. If Ape shares are converted into AMC, then that would make all the shorts on Ape, the AMC preferred equity unit, have to close their positions. They would be forced to close their positions. But we went ahead and asked the broker-dealer. And somebody asked, and the broker-dealer rep by the name of Sean said, asked a couple questions, say, by converted, are you talking about a reorganization? Do you have a ticker symbol? And he let him know that since it's brand new news, this guy Sean didn't even know about the Ape to AMC shareholder vote that we're going to have in the near future. There's not yet a date on it. So even though I can see you're asking about it, we don't have it yet, but we'll have it soon, I'm sure. Adam Aron will probably let us know, and I'll let you know as soon as I get it.
After Kalinovic's willingness to aid Adam Aron and Project Popcorn, the last portion of the video shows a screen identical to the one posted by Katherine Larsen, with the exception of the generic header Trade Desk at the top. The coordinated effort of finishing off retail with Project Popcorn shows the influencer's attempt to stay on a cohesive message. It is still unknown whether or not they talked to an actual broker, or if the screenshot is authentic. This video on the 23rd by Ape Nation Will sums up Aron's intentions almost a full year before the end of Project Popcorn.
He's playing you guys. He is playing you, bro. All right, as we know, Antera Capital holds the junior notes. They're the junior debt holders on AMC, right? And they hold a large portion of the debt. So these motherfuckers practically own Adam Aron's ass, right? So what they did in this equity capital raise, guys, they gave Antera Capital $110 million worth of Ape units at a weighted price of 66 cents. This is ownership. This is voting rights. This is you retail type on divided by 66 cents. That gives you 166,666,666 shares that Antera Capital now has. Roughly 20% of the float. So that is 20% of voting power. They no longer need retail for a vote. They don't give if you vote yes or no. That don't mean shit. They working with Adam Aron now, guys. They did this because retail had the majority of voting power. But guess what this did? This kicked retail out.
An 8K filing used to notify shareholders of an important event through the SEC said that within 90 days, AMC planned to conduct a completely coordinated, compromised, illegal vote, committing to the full conversion of Ape back into the common stock pool of AMC and to perform a 10-for-1 reverse stock split. And Tzero waited to fulfill its part of the sinister deal. On the 30th, Aron received a letter 9 days after it was mailed by securities lawyer Wes Christian on behalf of an organization called Naked Truth Incorporated. In the past, Aron had issued a press release, in this case on Twitter, saying he saw no evidence of counterfeit shares within AMC. Christian then spoke of evidence to the contrary, to which he demanded Aron immediately investigate and answer by January the 28th. Aron never answered, but the Naked Truth faced the backlash of Aron's dedicated social media mob, laying heavy accusations on the Naked Truth and providing personal information for everyone to see, ostensibly to entice others to physical confrontation. The aforementioned Platinum Sparkles appears in a question and answer session with SEC Chairman Gary Gensler after her interview with the president of FTX, Brent Harrison, apparently having enough connections to speak to both of them while being a simple retail trader.
But thank you for taking these questions. So I'm one of the many retail investors from Reddit who has been learning more about the market after what happened to GameStop in 2021. So things like payment for order flow, dark pool trading, and FTDs, they seem to work against retail's best interests, which has caused a lot of people to stop purchasing and holding with brokers altogether, and instead purchase and hold with a transfer agent.
To call out Platinum Sparkles for being a shill hedge fund plant. 100% regurgitates the exact narrative the hedge fund's been throwing out there, the FINRA's been throwing out there. She does not do DD. She gets her marching orders and then posts them in order to obfuscate, mislead, lie. That's all she does. I replied to her, not nice. I did not reply to her in a nice way at all, but I was factual. And I pointed out that she's a shill hedge fund plant and that all she does is regurgitate things the hedge funds want her to say. That's it. She has never once made an argument that was not something that was like, well, you know, this is how it's really going on. That happens to benefit the short hedge funds or the regulators who turn their back on these things. Or it's so frustrating. I replied to her and I got a permaban from Superstonk because you know what? Superstonk is for the hedge funds. She toes the FINRA line. Why? Because she's a FINRA employee. And for some reason a mod at Superstonk. You are a shill plant. 100% platinum. You are not a legit actor in this. You should not be a mod of any related subreddit. You should go away because you are inauthentic. You are a bad actor and you're a terrible person for doing this. I don't know what you sold your soul for, but obviously you must have been cheap, right? Because I mean, no one's made me any offers that are worthwhile yet. So how much do you sell out for? That's what I want to know. Why don't you show us your tax returns for the last couple of years and let's see where you got some extra cash from. How about that?
Marcel Kalinovic informed his audience not to be ignorant and to vote yes. Of his many claims, this one did the most damage to retail investors as he suggested that not voting yes would delay the MOASS. He and all of his influencer accomplices in Project Popcorn have been keeping retail on pins and needles waiting for, ultimately shaming them and enticing them at the same time, a deeper form of social engineering. On Christmas Eve, Anthony Franzetti was undecided on his vote, as if others didn't already know what it would be based on his strong support for Adam Aron. He also suggested that people had options to buy and hold or sell, though he has been trying to convince retail to hold and wait for a MOASS for an entire year. Near the close of 2022, Adam Aron gave a small concession to retail investors by not taking a salary raise after selling some of his stake, knowing when Project Popcorn was to begin. This is also known as selling at the top, like the other AMC executives. He then knew that the shareholders were hurting, but Adam Aron and the decisions of the board of directors inflicted a large part of that pain. Aron's masterful use of the ape's emotions boosted himself more to retail investors. Though primarily a GME stock influencer, Marantz Rantz is one of the few who mention the AMC influencers by name, with stinging, plausible indictments, citing the discrepancies in their character and their efforts to control the retail investors in AMC.
When I look at AMC and Ape, AMC is down 85% year over year. That is an amazing number. Additionally, Ape, since it's been introduced, not induced, well, it was forced upon you, it was induced. It has come down supposedly 78%, but I see it a lot harder than that. I see it like a 90% down, but I don't know what they're calculating or how they calculate that loss. It's actually up this month. So if anyone enjoys that price, you can. But with the proposals that are in front of you via Adam Aron and the board of directors and his new bondholders, and I don't say new bondholders, but the actual owners of the company now, 20% of the company, and Tara, you're looking at a conversion price of, if you were to convert Ape and AMC, currently as the market cap stands, you're looking at around $2.71 a share is what AMC shares would be if they converted today. AMC Biggums, I realize you made a semi-sane video right now this afternoon. I will tell you something, man. The lack of homework you do on your investment and your leadership is mind-boggling. Now, when I look at AMC and Ape, we'll just call it AMC from now on. It's going to be converting back. We get that. And you give all the possibilities why you would vote yes. There is nowhere in there, and I had to go look at everything. There's never been a moment in the last 3 years of this company, from 2019 all the way to today, they have never done one offering that you would consider smart. In December of 2019, they brought in Sean Goodman, a new CFO. The plan was to get this company ready for bankruptcy. They sold this company off. They took the float from a 50 million share float all the way to a 500 million share float. Adam Aron went onto Trade's channel after being ghost on Twitter for a year and a half, finally tweeted and went and infiltrated the crowd that you guys all built, the crowd that was moving, the crowd that he said, oh, you know what? I can push these guys over the ledge. Let me go tell them what we're trying to do. What were the fundamentals of the company then? Nothing. They were trash.
This is AMC, so there you go.
It was a rough year for AMC shares. They were down 85% to wrap up 2022.
So much garbage info spreading about AMC by twisted conspiracy theorists. This is a very aggressive tweet.
Whenever you're not allowed to question, you know they're up to some kind of right. So if you're not, and by the way, you know how they took the term conspiracy and they made it toxic because of the JFK assassination, the CIA. If you had a theory about how that happened, you were called a conspiracy theorist. Even though people are charged in court every day from coast to coast with criminal conspiracy, if you say somebody else is doing a criminal conspiracy, they call you a kook. You're a tinfoil hat nut. Just like they took the term truth, people who wanted to get the truth about 9/11, and they called them truthers.
As predicted by many, Anthony Franzetti came out as Adam Aron's official Minister of Defense, showing more than his loyalty to the CEO, but continuing his tradition of logical fallacies while speaking to his audience as he would in a Saturday morning children's variety show, first using the fallacious argument from authority, a hasty generalization argument, and finishing off the strained protection with a straw man argument by assuming all retail investors were waiting for a squeeze he and the core influencers helped promote for almost 2 years, as if setting up the trap. Franzetti decried the plummeting price of Ape, made possible by Citi and Tara and the AMC board of directors, that he promoted people buy via his 30 years of seasoned investing experience, bridal advisory or limo driving, coupled with his computer-savvy acting and chicken coop construction. With all those traits, he was wrong either based on his true inexperience or purposely so that he might inflict as much damage to retail investors as possible, buying and holding Ape. As with other diatribes by the core influencers, it is unknown whether or not they were paid to promote Project Popcorn to their audience, or if they had prior knowledge to trade on the outcome. All remains to be determined. The odds of an ulterior motive to aid in retail's destruction remained at elevated levels of deception to ensure retail loses against Adam Aron's plans once and for all. One can only hope that someday the same people speaking on social media as experts in securities and legal matters will be investigated for their part in AMC's heist of the century against their retail shareholders. Franzetti then ended his video by saying he would not tell anyone how to vote, but outlined the voting explanation as if in favor of the yes vote, also stating he would probably not tell anyone how he would vote.
Try not to fall prey to all the conspiracy theories going on out there and focus on what the company's telling you.
Twisted conspiracy theorists. This is a very aggressive.
Going back to his tried and true appeal to retail as one of them, Aron used another pitch that had stuck with retail investors throughout 2023, despite being one of the highest paid CEOs at the time, boasting about his current investment. Regardless, he is paid substantially and his shares are gifted to him, not purchased out of his own income. Casey Shaw, a close collaborator with both Pantheon and Anthony Franzetti, who also attempted to ask Aron about pitching movie ideas to board member Howard Hawk Koch and place his mother on the board of directors, posted several tweets throughout the year reiterating similar messages to his allied influencers to keep retail investors in and have them vote yes for Adam's rigged approval of a reverse stock split. These forthcoming videos from Anthony Franzetti should be evidential to the viewer on his shifting stance concerning reverse stock splits, one clearly warning of its dangers and the other embellishing its possible slim benefits.
Hey guys, Tony DeNaro here. Let's talk AMC reverse stock split and why it is one horrible idea. Now, towards the end of this video, I'm going to give you the complete horror situation that a reverse stock split would lead us into. If a reverse split happens with AMC, sure enough, we're going to be asking, why did we do this? Any of you who've been in the market for any time know that reverse stock splits are usually a death knell for a company. The price might rise overnight after the split goes into effect, but almost almost inevitably the stocks plummet. Say that AMC did a 1-for-5 reverse split and took the number of shares from 513 million to down around 100 million. The math didn't change, so why is it dangerous? Because when a reverse stock split happens, it does not change the number of authorized shares for the corporation. That number of authorized shares still remains authorized at 513 million shares. And so now AMC is sitting with a float of just over 100 million shares and 400 million shares that they could now issue at the new stock price. Now we are talking massive new potential dilution if the company decides that it needs to generate some additional cash. The prospect of that alone should be enough to end this discussion today about a reverse stock split. The very last thing that shareholders want right now in AMC is more dilution of our shares. About reverse splits, are they always a bad thing? And possibly challenging some preconceived notions that you might have about reverse splits.
Franzetti's second video truly showed off his slick acting ability, but left room for descript interpretation, from his forced grin to concentrated eyes on the message set in front of him, ensuring retail investors would be swayed by his suddenly changed stance on reverse stock splits via a protracted sales pitch. The former video did not nuance the difference between penny and larger market cap stocks. He carefully ensures that he provides a caveat to this video, stating he is not a fan of reverse splits for penny stocks, something he excluded a year ago. Franzetti then cited penny stocks that were destroyed by the market and giving more reasons why they failed to bolster his argument. Then began his assessment of larger cap stocks, because if they are penny stocks, the result is usually devastating. AMC was somehow different as a larger company. He mixed up the stocks that had good and bad results, limiting his scope to the last 3 years. As mentioned in this presentation, and even by Franzetti himself, the price would rise temporarily but then face the consequences of a disastrous decision for retail investors. Again, whether Franzetti knew or not about Project Popcorn and traded in the hopes of plummeting prices, for instance buying puts, that is to bet that the stock will fall, or scalping stocks, that is to trade and make a profit incrementally, remains to be seen. What his reasons were for promoting the theft of retail investors' equity through Project Popcorn needs to be revealed, as his far-reaching influence and collaborations to spread the same message aided in the ruination of millions of families all over the globe. None of the examples given included the history leading up to the implementation of Project Popcorn to the retail investors, i.e. the prices being decided ahead of time. Since the reverse stock split, AMC's prices continue to decline, and as of today are below $5, while Cinemark, its closest competitor, survived the pandemic at a price of, and trades today at. If Franzetti knew about Project Popcorn, he might have done well to include the rampant crime inside the confines of the AMC corporate offices in his equation. That element alone ensures that the reverse stock split is a guaranteed devaluation of the company. Regardless, he knew it would be a bad decision a year ago.
You've always promoted the fact that you want people to hold it, buy it and hold, buy it and hold. We're going to the moon. We're going to be so fucking rich. And then the minute you get a chance to recuperate a couple of dollars and or change your position on Ape versus AMC, you're all talk. You're all talk. You're bought and paid for. Peace.
This tweet would appear legitimately honest had Project Popcorn not been revealed months later. Aron speaks of his 10b5-1 plan coming to an end to ease the ape's worry about selling any of his shares. The plan is explained in this way.
So to start, what is a 10b5-1 trading plan? This is basically a legal agreement between you and your stockbroker that establishes a set of rules by which a small portion of your shares can be sold over a defined period of time without your involvement. This type of plan enables you as an executive, director, or 10% plus shareholder to sell stock into the market on a consistent basis without having to worry about being accused of insider trading and without sending the type of negative signals to the market that sometimes occur when an affiliate sells a large block of stock.
Aron and the board of directors sold at the time they were aware of how and when they would impose Project Popcorn on the retail shareholders. Aron netted himself $9.6 million on July 12th $25.3 million on September the 11th, and $7.1 million on November the 1st. The tweet was to avoid the accusations of insider trading, which was committed during these dates because of his prior knowledge of Project Popcorn, and to sell when the shares would be spared the plan's deleterious effects. That is why, in his interview with Liz Claman, he was ready to call the insider trading ancient history after only 1 year.
No, Liz, I can't, because that's 2021 news. That's ancient history.
Subsequent tweets in January by Phillips resemble the type of style contemporary rap artists call mumble rapping, but in this case, it is mumblenomics, without the financial advice, of course. The first one directed at AMC investors voting no, saying they don't have any ideas other than the assured reverse stock split. He then tries to convince his sympathetic followers that they may lose the MOASS, but the chances will be greater with a yes vote or a reset. Peter Hann calls himself and his followers very smart people to believe in the MOASS, while anyone else are just trolls. Phillips' next tweets on the 14th and 15th do not deserve any relevant examination because they contain only a sad attempt at shaming no voters into buying AMC's merchandise.
So I just want somebody to go check in on Marcel versus Wall Street. I'm sorry, Marcel the Butcher of Wall Street. Can somebody go check in on him? I mean, he sold his shares last week and the stock just went up about 30 to 40% from where he sold. And I know he sold at a loss as well. So it doesn't matter what contracts he buys, what he's trying to net out of it, like the reason he gave it to you. To sell 1,000 shares, just shows you have no conviction in what you're doing and you really don't know what the hell you're doing. But somebody check in on him, Marcel. You're not that smart. Peace.
On the 19th, Aron continues the combination plate of fear, COVID, and the possibility of bankruptcy, again citing Regal Cinemas, the same Regal Cinemas he attempted to buy during these hard times, which would add to their debt and increase the likelihood of the same bankruptcy he is using as a cautionary tale. Aron's next post praised the lenders of the company, which included some of the most historically criminal hedge funds in history that have racked up menial fines after abusing their shareholders. Citigroup was among them. The conflict of interest tweet was probably one of the only fully transparent ones Aron had posted aside from the locations of his meet and greets. Shaw posted on the 27th that their plan was always to buy and hold, diverting the blame back on retail while he was telling people to buy and hold for over a year, or he was indicating that somehow the hedge funds were losing.
To tell you the truth, I don't even know how we've gotten to this point where people are still looking at AMC and Ape and popcorn like there's something good that can come out of this thing. So you got the CEO that said he loves apes. Okay, and then he created Ape and just vaporized everybody. And if we've seen what the reverse splits have been like, we know it's going to be a disaster. Anything tied to reverse split and AMC, forget it. They're just making you feel like you're a part of it. Only thing you're a part of it is your money. The only people that won out with apes are the people that have been scalping ape. The purpose of this video is I'm telling you, your vote doesn't matter. You're going to think it matters. You're going to see a lot of YouTubers say, this is what I'm voting. This is my feeling. What? It don't mean anything.
This tweet on the 31st solidified Casey Shaw's push to aid Project Popcorn. Like his colleagues assisting Aron in the scheme, Casey Shaw promoted the yes vote, claiming that further dilution would remove any short thesis and force those short on AMC to close their positions, promising something in return for their voting yes.
I can guarantee you something's gonna happen, because there's no way in hell, with everything that I've seen and studied on AMC that we've all seen, they're gonna have a merger, reverse split, drop new shares, and nothing's gonna happen in that universe.
February started with fear-mongering by Aron, dangling the possibility again of bankruptcy for their company unless he is allowed to dilute. As pointed out in an article by MarketWatch and utilizing common sense, Aron missed a grand opportunity to remove an immense portion of the debt, but took the path of allowing it to be shorted to an agreed price with Antara. The action flushed out any reasonable assertion that Aron was there to the benefit of AMC as a company, keeping it in a perpetual state of obligation. A hairdresser who goes by the username of Amy and That Girl Trader on Twitter responded to her original post by Brian Reis before the announcement of a reverse stock split. He predicted or knew of the event ahead of time, but it did not turn out, like most of the things he says, the way he believed. Amy was quick to point out Reis's support for helping destroy the retail investors in AMC. However, in keeping consistent with the post-pandemic rise of would-be stock guru influencers, Amy's background is in cosmetology and her social media accounts belayed two starkly duplicitous personalities. The stock trading persona is aggressively misanthropic. Kais Malaysia, a self-employed retail trader, suggested that Amy appeared connected to Douglas Sifu, the CEO of Virtu Financial. Kais implied that Amy inquired of construction tycoon Bill Pulte, who has a large reach on Twitter, to stop Kais from getting answers about Bed Bath & Beyond's own investment scandal. While Amy ostensibly endeavored to silence Kais, they tried to speak to each other during a space call on Twitter where Amy injected racism into the conversation because of the mispronunciation of Sifu's name.
There is a dog. His name is Dog Saifu.
That's not his name.
All right, so
you're American now. Speak American.
All right,
Wow,
Amy talks a big game and then just pops up as a racist. Wow.
Others on Twitter caught on to the alleged yet recognizable bigotry of the Texas-based hairdresser. Mr. Malage's deduction may prove relevant as Amy was no stranger to constantly defending Sifu, also suggesting that she is somehow paid to aid as a social media envoy to take heat off of Sifu's suspected ties to using counterfeit shares as part of illegally accumulating his wealth by receiving gifts from Sifu's company. Bill Pulte also began to question Amy's intentions and relationships connected to Sifu. When Amy did not get the support she wanted from him, likewise attacked Pulte, where she appears to have expertise in consistently threatening others with impending lawsuits. Pulte discovered that Amy wanted to run a Telegram investment group which members had to pay $7,345 a month for dubious financial guidance. Pulte accurately implied that someone needed to investigate her. Whether or not Amy is truly being compensated for her influence on Twitter by the problematic billionaire Sifu is still unknown, but others have made the same assumption. Virtu's CEO's history does contain markers of possible fraud. Similar to Adam Aron, he has been embroiled with allegations of cheating unionized blue-collar workers. The news organization The Florida Bulldog's article on its website cites the SEC formally accusing Sifu of using high-frequency trading to amass his wealth from January 2018 through April 2019. Furthermore, in the infamous state of Delaware, the Ohio Iron Workers Local 55 asked for Virtu's books to be inspected because of suspected malfeasance, diverting millions of dollars to himself, his family, and his cronies. Unfortunately for the ironworkers, as we will see, the case is set to be presented at the crime-friendly hub of accomplices in larceny, the Chancery Court of Delaware, where illegal financial exchanges are supported and approved. Also similar to Aron, it is alleged that Sifu made false and misleading public statements. The article continues with the SEC tracing violations back to July 2017 and Virtu's acquisition of KCG Holdings, a large trading execution business. Like billionaire Ken Griffin, Sifu has been scrutinized for participating in delivering shares he did not own and allowing them to be purchased on the open market. The statement he made in this interview is where he became synonymous with the nickname the Liquidity Fairy.
Competition within the marketplace. What that means is, in the 8,000 names, to the extent there's not liquidity on a lit exchange, fundamentally the wholesalers are providing infinite liquidity at the NBBO or the inside price. So if we get an order for 1,000 shares in Reg NMS stock that no one's ever heard of, and there's 200 shares on NASDAQ in New York, we fill out 1,000 shares at that inside price. That's meaningful liquidity. 55% of the orders that we received, Bob, we provide size improvement. In a complete, as he calls it, an auction environment, who's going to provide that? The liquidity fairy?
On the 3rd, Aron posted that his great CEO skills paid off in ignoring Tzero back in late 2021 and denouncing the cries of investors to embrace the idea of tracking security purchases through blockchain technology. Conveniently, he weaves the message to say that Tzero was fined and censored on January 10th, 2023. But it was a year earlier in 2022. The fine was for sharing information with an affiliate broker-dealer, Blue Ocean Technologies, which it later acquired. According to Yahoo Finance, the company apparently did not file an amendment to its Form ATS for alternative trading systems with the SEC for more than 2 years after it began sharing the information, despite the fact that it was required. The word censor that Aron used was to create an alarm when Tzero was only barred from committing any further violations. Jeremy Phillips responded to Aron's tweet by telling everyone what some are now finding out. Adam Aron's intent and those of the influencers supporting him was never to help retail investors. Again, Aron's influencers saw blood in the water, assisting Aron's ability to apply half-truths to his audience.
Today, I want to talk about why an NFT dividend issued through Tzero would not have caused the squeeze. I also want to talk about Adam Aron firing shots at Tzero and at Matt Kors and at all of the other grifters and shills that are paid to spread FUD against AMC. Adam Aron actually went back today to correct the record to be even more precise. He said, "I believe what I tweet should always be as accurate as I can make it."
Casey Shaw provides a sympathy tweet to retail claiming they are worth fighting for by holding the stocks, just days after supporting a reverse stock split that would eventually destroy their investment. Once expelled from a group called the Wolf Pack containing Anthony Franzetti, Pantheon, Casey Shaw, and others over ethical issues, Froggy Styles points out the blatant attempt by Katherine Larsen to discredit Tzero. Phillips ended the post with a prophetic tweet that would stand the test of time. Tzero did not admit or deny the findings. The forward purchase agreement between Antara and AMC, brokered by Citigroup, went into the issuance period on February the 7th. On February the 8th, with all of Antara's accumulated shares, their voting power swelled to approximately 27.8% of all outstanding Ape shares. On the 9th, AMC and Antara agreed to a mutual waiver. Antara could sell up to 26 million Ape units, which allowed Antara to gain a great windfall and vote all of its Ape shares in favor of AMC's upcoming amendments. Aron tweeted again to trust him, claiming that he was on retail's side because he owned shares. The logical fallacy here is dispersed if considering he owns shares means he is on retail's side. It only means he owns shares, not that he is on retail's side. Because he owns shares doesn't automatically mean that he is on retail's side. Aron's tweet one day before an important email by Antara provided Aron a way to take the moral high ground as investors begin to speak out against the decisions he is making on their behalf. He ends the message with, "Just do what is right." But what is right for Aron is to continue his mission of keeping retail investors from participating in anything that may benefit their investment.
When you look back, the only thing you have is your reputation. So highest integrity at every step of the way. Because when you look back, you want to be proud of what you did and what your name means. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
You too.
Take care.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, Adam. Ryan?
Hey, Ryan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for the follow recently, by the way.
You're welcome.
Much appreciated.
Aron's appearances continued through 2023 with the urgency to sell the idea of the reverse stock split to retail investors and solidify support. However, he already had the vote assured through Project Popcorn. As with most things he has done, it was equally important to keep the illusion of integrity in full view of the public eye and play on the ape's loyalty and love for him, pressed by social media, causing a fervor of undying admiration for him. The subterfuge needed the cloaking of his true persona for Aron and the board of directors to avoid any inkling of malfeasance later revealed through discovery. Each appearance rarely brought a different message, but some are exhibited here to show the determination Aron used to deceive his retail shareholder base with pertinent contradictory information when compared to the world inside the boardroom and dealings he knew sealed the ape's fate. February 11th delivered an incredible email from Benjamin Chuchla, an investment analyst at Antara, explaining AMC's debt capacity to Antara CEO Himanshu Gulati and Chetan Bansal, Antara's co-head of investment research. The importance of the email concerns AMC's debt capacity as if the end of Project Popcorn did not exist. Astonishingly, AMC's available liquidity was $2.2 billion, above the mark where Aron said this.
But we had more than $1 billion in cash or undrawn revolving credit line on June 30, the end of the last quarter. And so we were in a very strong position. Strong enough that I could take $28 million of your money and buy into a gold mine.
In summary, Project Popcorn was not to save AMC, to stop the short sellers, to kill a short thesis, to cause a MOASS, to raise capital to keep AMC alive, or to have hedge funds choke on that. Its roots lay deep in a detailed plot to willingly and premeditatively rob the money of millions of people from all over the world. Adam Aron may eventually enter the history books as one of the most nefarious CEOs of all time, walking away scot-free without the fear of any United States federal and state law enforcement agencies eventually arresting him and the members of the board of directors for the heinous crimes he committed in the short span of 2 years. 3 days later, the proxy statement appeared to set up the March 14th vote for amendments to increase the number of shares of common stock and to effectuate conversion of Ape back to AMC with a reverse stock split. In reality, Aron wanted retail to approve the theft of their own money.
Got to hear Adam Aron's 30-minute speech in Denver to everyone, 31 minutes. You're going to watch that next. Nowhere in there, as you listen, because it's compelling, did he say they're going to pay off the debt. He keeps saying make it stronger.
It's not a well-known fact, but there are a lot of movie theater chains that did go bankrupt, including Regal, which was the second biggest movie theater chain in the world. And I'll tell you, there's only a few differences between AMC and Regal. We're almost the same size. I'd like to think our theaters are nicer. I'd like to think our food is better. I'd like to think our marketing's better. But, you know, they've got nice theaters too. But you know what they didn't have? They didn't have you.
Aron's appearance in Denver is too lengthy to play in its entirety, but it is one of the most disingenuous misrepresentations Aron has yet to employ on his retail shareholders. The words contradict his establishment of Project Popcorn and his pre-planned deals with Antara, expecting the price to fall before it actually did. It is advantageous to remember some of the events prior to this video because they tell a different story.
We created something called APES in August. We created APES for a simple reason. We raised a lot of money by selling AMC shares into the public markets. We ran out of AMC shares. We sold everyone we had. We asked our shareholders for the authority to issue more. And we couldn't get an affirmative vote to do so. There was never a negative vote. There was no vote. We tried twice, we pulled the vote twice, because as we were tracking the vote count, it was just so split, opinions so split. It was our judgment that it was not wise to proceed when the opinion was so split.
The first vote was on May 4th, 2021 for 500 million additional shares, where the votes against were 10,000 more than those that supported it. The second vote was for 25 million shares, and the vote was not close at all. But according to Aron, AMC had more cash than they ever had in their history in between the dates of the votes in June of 2021, though he said he ran out of both cash and AMC shares, correcting himself to only say AMC shares.
Because the thing that's kept AMC alive is we raised money like it was going out of style. And we raised so much money that we actually had more money in the bank than we'd ever had in the bank in 100 years as a company. We had, thanks to you, we had $2 billion in the bank in June 21. But we had more than $1 billion of cash or undrawn revolving credit line on June 30, the end of the last quarter. And so we were in a very strong position. Strong enough that I could take $28 million of your money and buy into a gold mine. But we couldn't raise any more cash. And if we couldn't raise cash, we might be like Regal.
In Denver, he then claims he couldn't raise cash because of the votes while having $2 billion in cash, thanks to the apes. Aron then claims had he been able to raise cash that he already had, he would have been able to pay off all of AMC's debt that he and the BOD were the cause of after Aron's placement at AMC. But since his track record of aiding retail investors is non-existent, what are the true guarantees of that? Masterfully playing the gullible audience by pretending to be on their side.
And it hurt us not to raise cash because back in the summer of 2021,
I could have sold 125 million shares of AMC. We would have raised $5 billion. We would have paid off all of our debt.
When in South Carolina for another screening, Aron repeats the same message, blaming the apes for not approving the issuance of new shares in 2021, saying he would have sold them immediately to pay off the entire debt that was owed. However, evidence has shown that he had multiple chances to address AMC's issues and chose to side with his colleagues in hedge funds and with the apes only through words and not his actions.
We would have been totally debt-free. We would have been home free. We would have destroyed the so-called short thesis that short sellers had, that AMC was a train wreck waiting to happen. It was a mistake not to issue more shares.
To keep Citi and Derek Van Zant's involvement out of the picture and preventing his investors discovering more information, Aron tells them that Antara came to AMC in goodwill for a deal with the company, when it was Citigroup through Van Zant suggesting Aron meet with Antara about the potential sale of Ape units to set up the fraudulent voting structure.
So we entered into a transaction with a fund called Antara, who came to us with an idea. And they said, you need money. We'll give you money. They gave us $110 million of cash. They did it, they gave it to us for apes at more or less market price. The market price was awful, but that was the market price. And we'll help you. And so we came up with the idea of putting the Ape preferred units and the AMC common shares back together again in one security. All I can tell you with all my heart and soul, I urge you and every investor in this company, vote yes to put the Ape and the AMC back together again. Like if you vote no, we can still issue more shares. We'll sell them as apes, and I don't know where they'll trade, but 2 months ago they were trading at 69 cents. And you know, the reality is I made a lot of money in my life. And I made a lot of money last year, and it's well known. I told everybody months in advance that I was going to sell some shares. I put them in not exactly a blind trust, but I took all the trading out of my hands. I gave it to somebody else. I wasn't involved. I put enough money away that I'm kind of set for life. So it's not just that I'm doing this because I'd like to see the value of my shares go up. For me, this is a much, much bigger mission. I believe it's in your interest as an AMC shareholder to vote yes at this shareholder meeting in the next month. That's the role that you all play. You get to decide. You get to vote. You get to decide whether I know what I'm talking about or not.
There is a realization that some, even up to this point with the evidence provided, ask why is his Denver speech disingenuous? The vote was decided. Ape and AMC's prices were controlled by the hedge funds, working with Adam Aron and the board of directors to keep the price down. AMC had $2 billion in between both votes while Aron continued to ask for money during the meet and greets. What did he use? Scare tactics, illogical arguments like the appeal to emotion, the no true Scotsman fallacy, appeal to fear, and appeal to probability. The result.
One of my best friends bought the 76ers back in 2011. So we're clearly on a path to recovery. There's a war in Ukraine. Inflation and interest rates are the highest in 40 years and 20 years respectively. And if you vote no, God help us all, but if you vote no, we'll still raise cash. But if you vote no, we'll still raise money, but we're going to be doing it like nothing. But if you vote yes, and the APE and the AMC common shares come back together, then there's a reason why the apes have gone from 70 cents to $2.50. And I think if we put the apes and the common together, they'll go up higher still. I don't know that for sure, only the markets decide. Even if it doesn't go up a penny, it just stays where it is now. We'd be raising money at $2.50 a share, not at 70 cents a share. That means like we give out a quarter of the shares to raise money that we would have to give if the vote is no. We should vote yes. We should arm this company with the ability to raise the cash that it needs
so we can outlast this pandemic.
In Aron's several speeches, the fear of constant bankruptcy is used in the form of Regal Cinemas. Yet there was an attempt by AMC to acquire Regal, taking on more debt when he was trying to outlast the pandemic, but still asked for the ability to raise cash that he said he would be able to do regardless of the vote's outcome. On the 17th of February, Sean Goodman asked Eddie Gladbach to keep everyone updated on Project Popcorn's vote status.
What up, everybody? So I just wanted to kind of make the video that kind of going over my question that I had for Adam Aron. I know I've kind of been not putting that up. I wanted to put it up at least yesterday, but I've been busy with a lot of stuff, so I just want to get right to it. I got some notes here with this. I wish I could have filmed it, or I would have already posted. That would have been the first thing I posted. But he asked me not to, and so he did agree with this right out the gate. I said, I know you probably know, but this community is more divided than it's ever been. And he said, oh yeah, absolutely. Like he 100%, 110% agreed on that. So it wasn't like, that was kind of interesting to me, because it wasn't like he was trying to BS around that. Look at all these people here. And I kind of turned around and I pointed to the whole line behind me, because there was still a good amount of people in there waiting. And I said, they've all supported you through this. I was like, I know that you want a yes vote. You've made that pretty clear. And I mentioned a couple of like YouTubers and stuff. I mentioned AMC Biggums. He knew who he was. But honestly, it was about 2 or 3 minutes. And then basically after that, he said, all right, nice to meet you. And it was kind of like, next.
Vader struck again on Twitter, posting the arrest of Philip Pitts from July 31st, 2020, where he viciously assaulted the mother of one of his children while she was pregnant in a horrifying display of unmitigated rage. The Allegheny County Employees Retirement System in Pennsylvania, where Adam Aron is from, filed a class action lawsuit against AMC for breach of fiduciary duties with the Chancery Court of Delaware. Minutes later, before the courts closed for the day, Osbaldo Munoz and Anthony Franchi filed another lawsuit to enjoin apes from voting during the special meeting. Allegheny, along with Munoz and Franchi's lawsuit, were given to Vice Chancellor Morgan Zern at the Chancery Court of Delaware.
When was the last time you thought about Delaware?
The Chancery Court has dropped from number 1 in the country by the Chamber of Commerce to number 11 in places to do business. They've dropped to number 48 from the Center of Public Integrity for judicial reform and accountability. And Delaware relies too much on the incorporated industry to have the Chancery Court stuck in the old boys club of 1985. For too long, these conversations have been in small rooms with corporate lawyers who profit off the decisions of this court. Number 1 is to establish an independent office of Inspector General with a degree of jurisdiction over the Chancery Court, which would ensure a rigorous and regular review process for auditing the Chancery Court's decisions. If you have an ethics complaint right now about the Chancery Court, it goes to another court of which members of the Chancery Court sit on that body. That is no way to have accountability. Most other states have inspector generals that you can bring complaints to. So if you feel like you have been wronged and there has been misconduct, you have a place to go. In Delaware, they don't do that because they don't want to have that conversation. It is time to reform. And by the way, because Delaware does not require financial disclosures of judges, we really don't know and have any way to know if a judge is still profiting off of his or her partnership at their previous firm.
Yes, most of us don't think very often about Delaware. But Hal Weitzman believes that's a mistake. A big mistake, in fact. What's the Matter with Delaware is the title of his new book. And the subtitle tells us a lot about what he thinks we've been missing. How the first state has favored the rich, powerful, and criminal, and how it costs us all. It's a story that involves tax dodging, corporate shenanigans, regulatory capture, a bipartisan class of politicians deep in the pockets of the wealthiest interests in the world, and a state whose finances overwhelmingly depend on protecting this highly questionable status quo.
Is the colleague suggesting the Delaware Chancery Court is not open? I find it outrageous.
I am so happy to have Hal Weitzman with us at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business for this episode of The Book Report. Hal, thank you so much for being here. Let's start where you start at the beginning of the book with a bit of a history lesson.
In journalist Hal Weitzman's book, What's the Matter with Delaware? How the First State Has Favored the Rich, the Powerful, and the Criminal, and How It Costs Us All, Weitzman posits that the state has more corporations, including major ones, than they do a total population. Delaware amounts to a state existing external to the United States as a separate government kleptocracy, containing bribery, money laundering, inequality, tax dodging, dark markets, lack of transparency, and of course, rampant corruption. Delaware's conspicuously ethical surface and facade of anthropological righteousness makes it the perfect place for bad actors to hide. Weitzman states that the Chancery Court makes judgments more predictable than any other state. The crimes in Delaware, under the guise of a virtuous pantomime of hypocritical kabuki theater political actors, results in the aiding and abetting of drugs, arms, and the trafficking of people, including child sex trafficking. The main beneficiaries to the Chancery Court's unregulated, freely distributed contribution to the destruction of America as fraudulent arbiters of objective adjudication are the lawyers, who are more than often connected to the same chancellors sitting on the court, giving the Chancery Court the ability to force their criminalities on the public at will. From the Morris James LLP website, as Weitzman said about predictable outcomes, the Court of Chancery dismisses cases of corporate fraud. Kendra McDowell writes in May of 2023 that some corporations do benefit from the corruptive imbalance of the Chancery Court, but some also do not, depending on how they favor the corporations. Those seen in the crooked scales of the Chancery Court leave Delaware altogether. As the powerful court goes unchecked by anyone, they forced the closure of the profitable company TransPerfect, all to benefit the lawyers involved.
Miranda Wessinger is the president of Citizens for Pro-Business Delaware, former employee of 10 years. TransPerfect, she's just going to say a few words about what it means to her, and she's really standing up, as I am, for the people behind us. So, Miranda.
Citizens for Judicial Fairness has profiled the Chancery Court in several articles. In early 2024, the activist group launched a campaign called Badfellas, shining a light on the corruption of the Chancery Court's three figureheads for their exploitation in rigging the court system. This included former Chancellor Andre Bouchard, former Chief Justice Leo Strine, and Chancellor Kathleen McCormick. Business Wire then presented the campaign to its readers, showing a parody poster of the three legal pillars of Chancery's artificial decency as gangsters from the film Goodfellas. A year prior, another campaign preceded it, showing the same members of the Chancery Court reaping the benefits of their dishonesty. Chancellor Kathleen McCormick is noted as continuing to make rulings that benefit the court's members, past and present. The Coastal Network's article in late 2023 professes that the court's corruption is now being exposed to more people. Author Bob Hennelly's representation on the Salon website shows that the court's criminal ways reached the group Transparency International, where they announced it as one of the world's best examples of grand corruption. In Hennelly's article, the group said that abuse of high-level power that benefits the few at the expense of the many and causes serious and widespread harm to individuals and society was part of the criteria for making the list of 9 entities abusing power, called the Dirty Nine. Former professor of economics William Black is quoted as saying that the Chancery Court sells corporate protection from compliance from fiduciary obligations and the provisions of the law, like anti-money laundering statutes. Black continued to say that the Chancery Court was at the heart of the problem, allowing corporations to eviscerate fiduciary duty through their decisions, in short, legalizing crime against United States citizens. Retail investors in AMC were headed into the Chancery Court of Delaware unaware and unfamiliar with its shady organization, depending on the location of each investor placing their hopes on the objective scales of justice. Unbeknownst to some, the Chancery Court was an infamous place where justice typically goes to die.
Is it not a competent court? Is it not an open court?
That's right, Joe Biden. It's not an open court. That's why the Center for Public Integrity ranked Delaware 48 out of 50 states on key issues like transparency and accountability. Chancellor Andre Bouchard oversees a Chancery Court which has resisted every attempt to bring much-needed transparency into the court. It's time to shine a light on the Chancery Court. Joe Biden supports a judicial system which cuts out thousands of people who end up hurt by the court's decisions.
Clearly, we need to be thinking a lot more about Delaware.
But did the sale over there in Tzero, as far as the exchange for debt on Ape. But based on rules, that ain't a stock. So where did he get the vote for that? If he needed, and I gotta verify tomorrow, if he needed Ape shareholder votes in order to authorize that transaction, that means that the dumping of Ape that just happened 2 weeks ago, that dropped the price down, wasn't supposed to happen, because technically speaking, if he needed that vote and he didn't get that vote from the shareholders of Ape, something's not right there. I mean, I've had a migraine all day long, and I could tell you that don't sound cool to me. Was there a vote needed to make that transaction happen? Because it was Ape, not AMC, which is not the stock, it's a preferred equity unit. That's one. And the other one, why was that done? It was done at this moment, not afterwards. I mean, they're gonna convert over. I mean, why drop them now? And Tzero is supposed to want the merger of Ape and AMC to happen after that transaction. But if that's the case, why drop it now, not afterwards?
Casey Shaw's posts on the 20th and 25th pushed the idea of shorts covering their Ape positions on conversion further by insisting Mark Cohodes did the same. Cohodes, however, blamed Aron for aiding the short positions of hedge funds. Eddie Gladback updated the voting for Project Popcorn's amendments again on February 23rd. In haste to finish their claims against AMC, both the Allegheny Retirement System with Munoz and Franchi asked for expedition of their claims to the Chancery Court. The following day, Gladback updated Aron and the board of directors of the voting tally again. Gladback made sure to mention that the current voting was from Ape units because Antara began to vote. She reminded Aron to inform Antara's VPs to be certain that they voted. A presumed AMC investor by the name of Brian Tuttle wrote an email to the New York Stock Exchange citing that the AMC board of directors gave super voting rights to each preferred equity unit. Each unit would have the voting power of 100 AMC common stock, not approved by the current shareholders. According to Tuttle, by way of the Securities Act, common stock could not have a diminished role in any publicly traded company through corporate action. The email concluded with the statement that super voting stock was not eligible to convert into a lower voting class. Any of the rules, guidelines, and laws established in the past and protected by the court system did not seem to hold any more weight than the people that made them possible in a contemporary setting. Casey Shaw posted several times on the 25th with two of note. The first telling his followers that they will now have to hold longer, and the second telling them they will not lose the MOASS on conversion. Vice Chancellor Morgan Zern allowed a status quo order to be placed on February 27th, which still permitted AMC to hold their vote and special meeting, but paused the proposals from going into effect. A hearing was set for the lawsuits on April 27th, 2023. The original March 10th one was canceled. The vote would proceed without allowing AMC retail investors access to any discovery documents and 27 redacted statements by Munoz and Franchi. A 10-K statement, which is a yearly financial report, was filed by AMC on the next day. It said that Ape was sold before shareholders approved it. The sale was revealed only on this date. With the 10-K filing came AMC's earnings call with investors. The call was consistent again with how Aron wanted the public to believe everything they are told and have the authenticity of their actions played out behind closed doors. Almost everything he said, when comparable to anything already made known, contradicted his words. Aron used the time to call Ape and AMC's preset price manipulation by Citi, Antara, himself, and the board of directors mysterious when he knew it was pre-manufactured. He then said he would defend AMC due to the lawsuit at the Chancery Court. Incredibly, part of his message was to say that everything he did was lawful, but most of his actions were completely unlawful. He denied being a hedge fund plant and other suggestions because they were all conspiracy theories, despite retail investors losing 90% or more of their investment through all the bad players involved in Project Popcorn after its completion. Aron assured the retail investors that there are no arguments valid enough to prove that the reverse stock split would cause any adverse effects, though Ape already stripped away almost half of the shareholder value. On March the 2nd, Munoz and Franchi's lawsuit was consolidated with Allegheny's, all appointed as lead plaintiffs.
fundamentally we will quadruple our investment in that gold mine. It's going to take 2 to 4 years to do it. But I said publicly, he who laughs last best. And there's going to be a lot of crow eating coming 2, 3, 4 years from now. And I'm not going to be the one eating the damn crow. But anyway, but other than that, and by the way, when you have $2 billion, $20 million, it's like 1%, right? That's a lot of gold. It's a lot of silver.
My plan on this really is to see who's who in the community while we try to figure out how we can get Adam Aron removed as CEO. I will say that the consensus right now is heavily anti-Adam Aron. That's for sure. What's funny is the ones that are pro-Adam Aron, those are the ones that they're now pushing the fundamentals of the company. They want you now to keep holding the stock in hopes that it's going to be profitable in like 97 years. Like I said, you've got Tony De Niro, as we could have expected. He's pro Adam Aron. We kind of knew that. I didn't have to even figure that out. And I can tell you what, this stock is going to be reverse split. You're not going to hear an announcement from the company saying, oh yeah, the votes came through and everybody voted no. You're not going to hear that. So what's going to happen is it's going to get reverse split. The price is going to be a lot higher for a share of AMC. No one's going to buy it at that price because nobody's buying it at this price. And I can tell you that there are tons and tons and tons of people that are going to create their own MOASS buying puts to the ground of this company once it reverse split. So you can keep on listening to the pro Adam Aron people, but once they reverse split, and I'm telling you, these people are praying for the stock to reverse split. If they can vote yes, they are going to vote yes for the reverse split because they're going to ride puts all the way down to the ground. And let me tell you what, they're going to make a lot of money. They're going to make a ton of money shorting the stock down. No matter what a YouTuber tells you, the only reason AMC is even being talked about today is because the retail investor bought and held the stock, the entire float of the stock, trying to squeeze the shorts out that were trying to bankrupt the company. We saved the company.
The press every 90 days was saying, AMC is going to collapse, AMC is going to fail, AMC is going to file for bankruptcy, and we had a very able, we have not had, well, we had at the time, we still have, a very able board of directors that was mature and sober and not panicky. And if we'd had a panicky board that didn't let us do what we needed to do to save the company, we might have had to put AMC in the bankruptcy too. But we knew what we were doing, the board stuck with us, and we found you. Because the AMC common stock and the AMC apes are the same thing, but back in December, an ape was selling for 1/7 the price of the AMC common stock. They should be selling for about the same price. They're the same thing. They have the same economic rights. They have the same voting rights, but just weird market dynamics. I know there are a lot of speculation out here in the crowd about weird market dynamics, but weird market dynamics were making the ape price very low. Everything else, all the anxiety about failure to delivers and synthetic shares and naked shorting and all the stuff you read in Twitter, that doesn't frighten short sellers.
After 2 years of meme stock exuberance and the insistence of counterfeit shares being involved, Adam Aron finally mentions the high number of failure to deliver of shares back into AMC and Ape. In the post, he said he contacted the New York Stock Exchange and FINRA to address the issue. In retrospect, AMC has been in contact with the New York Stock Exchange since the beginning of Project Popcorn. They were aware of it, but the loyal apes were not. By the end of the year, the tweet would prove useless as Aron and the board of directors in AMC aided in removing the failure to delivers in both Ape and AMC.
So now they're concerned that Ape shares have to be converted into AMC common shares. But at the end of the day, when they were going to create Ape back then, I told you because all they're going to do is create all these apes with voting rights, and then they're going to turn around and the funds, and Tara and them, are going to be able to convert it to AMC shares. It's a roundabout to what we voted no on for dilution. However, by converting apes into AMC common shares, the company will dilute its stock, which will certainly hurt AMC share price. So for all you people on the AMC side saying, I don't care about this, I'm AMC. Surprise. According to CEO Adam Aron, holding reverse split will make AMC share price more robust. You can't make this shit up.
Just wanted to touch base real quick on what Adam Aron just tweeted after how long that he finally tweeted about the threshold list, the failure to delivers. Timing on his part couldn't be more perfect because he's trying to win us over. He's trying to get us to vote yes. I believe this is just a ploy for more of a vote of confidence in him as a CEO. One thing I do realize, the man is extremely smart, he's intelligent, and he knows how to play to us apes, especially when he needs something from us. He thinks he needs something from us, and then we're hearing that if he doesn't get it, he's going to go ahead and dilute anyway. And people are spreading FUD that if he doesn't get a yes vote, that AMC is going to go out of business.
Another user retweeted Katherine Larsen's promotion of AMC's new line of retail popcorn hitting the store shelves. With Project Popcorn's tentacles reaching various social media platforms, AMC's management pushed several different promotions to usurp more finances from trusting investors with the help of Project Popcorn's influencers, telling them to apply for credit cards, buy merchandise, buy popcorn, and anything that can keep AMC from going into bankruptcy. But like Aron's constancy of crying wolf, it was a false narrative to take more away from retail because some still remained loyal to Aron. Though there were still some supporting Adam Aron, whether it was a prepaid pretense or not, members of the board of directors, including Adam Aron, were informed that the vote for the proposed amendments would not likely pass without Project Popcorn in place. Desperate to complete the theft of retail's money, the board of directors asked the court to set a period where there may be a motion to dismiss the lawsuit at the Chancery Court in Delaware. On March the 14th, 2023, Adam Aron announced that retail shareholders voted yes for the theft of their wealth through a program possibly devised as early as January 2021 and memorialized in November of 2021. The conversion and split were on hold via the status quo order, but that was a mere formality to completing the securities heist of a lifetime without regard to what families or individuals it would be affecting. When bringing to remembrance all that has occurred up to this point, Aron's dishonesty did not take a break, as the urgency of AMC's future was still at the forefront of his fear tactics and the false claims that he was looking out for retail. At the time of the special meeting, there were 517,580,416 shares of Class A common stock and 929,849,612 AMC preferred equity units available to vote.
Just got word that AMC vote has passed overwhelmingly. The preliminary numbers are in. Looks like 88 to 89% of people have voted for the amendments. Good old Adam Aron, Chief Executive Officer of AMC, and the board of directors, hedge funds have basically, and market makers have come to the conclusion that this overwhelming majority is going to prove to the judge that the majority of stockholders and shareholders are actually for the conversion and reverse split. When you take your ape and put them into AMC, if you already had some as a shareholder, if you were smart enough to hold on to them, it's not really a 1 to 10, it'd be more of a 1 to 5 because the number of shares that you have would double. Or if you were really smart and bought more ape than you did AMC, or even bought more ape after the fact, then you would end up with more than that number of shares. So it would be even less to a 1 to 5. Damn, we're gonna be so fucking rich. A Tuesday would be a fine day to go to the moon, honey. Yeah, baby. We're gonna be French. She's right. Today's a good day, ladies and gentlemen.
On the 15th, Larsen used another common fallacious argument by people who support Aron, the notion that others are somehow concerned with what they do with their stock purchases, again forgetting that over the saga they have been manipulating the stock, which should be a cause of concern to any retail investor. In the post, she again pressed buying and holding AMC, although no one knows if she had any of the stocks she promoted.
Okay, Antara just dropped, they're like 48 million in Ape shares down the day after the vote. That just basically clears it out for the judge. That clears it out for the judge. They basically had the shares for the vote. Once the vote was done and they didn't need the damn ape anymore, boom, they dropped them down, and at the end of the day, go your mother. So I just want to let everybody know, this is the whole plan. This is what was set up. This is why I talked about ape back then. Now look at the fix in. You got Popcorn saying yes, 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 and you got Antara dropping those apes. Please understand, the fix was in. This had to happen. This was the ultimate cleanup operation to everything that was going on. So when people now go like, no, you're wrong, he needed to do this to save the company, go mother. They gave that arrangement with Ape, and now that they voted, now that they're done, chances are, you know what? I'm calling to see that vote. I want that vote done by a third party, independent party. I'm gonna adjust my letter to the judge. Thank God I didn't send it yet. But that's it. So more to come, more to come.
On March the 19th, Brian Reis gave his audience more hope in a MOASS event again.
AMC cannot set a date for the combining of Ape and AMC until after April 27th at the earliest, which has to do with the court case of being sued about selling too many shares to a single party. So that means AMC and Ape are going to get hammered. What will probably happen is they'll sell quite a few shares, not enough to pay off a significant portion of the debt, but they'll pay off maybe 60% of it. They'll still have a boatload of interest out to pay every quarter. Then when they sell those shares, they sell them directly to a bunch of hedge funds, and those hedge funds use their voting majority to then screw up the company from the inside, take on more debt, and down the toilet. That's the pessimistic side of it. And that's the side I lean towards because I don't trust Adam Aron at all.
In some instances, Aron will post when articles or companies express opinions contrary to his own that may bring discovery of what is truly happening to AMC as a company.
Hey friends, welcome to Stocks and Crypto Plays. This is Ape, APE. They have, MarketWatch has a listing of APE right here. Let's see if it shows you the key data. 93.79 billion shares, okay? There's only supposed to be under a billion. There should only be like 550 million ape or something like that. Take a look. Shares outstanding, 93.79 billion.
His reactions are swift and centered on dispelling their argument at the fastest opportunity. This tweet on the 24th of March is directed at MarketWatch, possibly unveiling AMC's current condition of oversold Ape shares not belonging to the original disbursement of Ape, confirming the counterfeit shares Aron said did not exist. Aron's wrath was an indication of worry that the truth may come out before Project Popcorn had a chance to finish.
Hey guys, Tony DeNaro here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk with you about some of my thoughts and my research about when and why shorts attack certain companies, how debt and revenue plays into that, and we're going to wrap up talking about a 10-year short squeeze where the shorts lost.
Anthony Franzetti uploaded a video attempting to convince retail investors of the benefits of a 10-year stock squeeze, though not naming AMC specifically. With the timing of the lawsuit, the video implicitly attempts to persuade AMC stockholders to remain in their investment for up to 10 years. 3 days later, Franzetti distanced himself from the MOASS narrative he and the other Project Popcorn influencers helped to create, generate, and propagate to the public. The Save the Company theme is common to Aron's social media mouthpieces to present the false notion that AMC was in constant danger.
This is a cleanup. This is totally different. Right now, you're seeing something that at the end of the day, we had a reverse split. If we had a reverse split right now / merger, those are the numbers that will be going back and forth. Now, maybe we're not supposed to see those numbers, but at the end of the day, understand that if the reverse split merger was today, 93 billion ape will be a part of that mix, which converts over to AMC, and which will turn around and cover all of the nefarious bazillion synthetics that they made. Don't tell me there was no synthetics, because Popcorn to this day has never said how the hell there was 500 million AMC synthetics in Citigroup in Brazil, while FTX Bankman said he had 400 million, and while we were holding 90% of the float, while the institutes had millions, and this is not even talking about all the FTDs. So, at the end of the day, if the reverse split was to happen today with the merger, those apes would wipe out everything AMC. Do you understand now? Do you understand how we're seeing this now? All this was in the making. That number, that's the MOASS killer. Ape was always the MOASS killer.